All right, this is a supplemental podcast for September 12th notes. We're going to talk about how we're going to do some graphing, and we're really focus on the graphing rules here. We've already gone through the quiz and the measurements, and remember, you have a pre-lab to read for tonight. Okay, it's on haiku. In order to do some graphing, we're going to do some data collection first. And before we do some data collection, we're going to ask a question and have an experiment. So, Joe Mauer, hometown Joe, he's pretty tall. He's 6'5". And we're going to ask the question, does height affect batting average? Joe seems to be doing all right. But we want to see how the other batting leaders are, if they're tall or short. So there's our question. And we have all sorts of data here to sort through. But what we decided to do, we were just going to pick a couple ball players and then look at their height and look at their average. So we started off by looking at Derek Jeter. We also wanted, the color doesn't work for me. Let's try yellow. And so here's his average. We also looked at Hometown Joe and his average. We randomly selected a few others. This Beltre character from the Rangers, Holiday from the Cardinals, and good old Torrey Hunter from our beloved Twins, now playing for the Angels. Now we're going to set up a data table, and we're going to make sure that we have a couple lines here. Whoops, I don't want to do that. So I'm going to set these lines up, and we put we use the lines on the paper as well. But we want to compare. When we set up a data table, it's going to be this vertical table, and we're always going to put the independent variable. I don't want that color either. Let's try this. Alright. You have the independent variable on one side, the dependent variable on the other side, and therefore we need to figure out what those are. And our independent variable would be the height. That means our dependent variable would be the batting average. Now the height is going to be in inches. Couldn't do anything about that. We could convert, but it's just going to be too messy. So we'll keep the height in inches, but the batting average has units too, except those are never really considered. But the batting average units are hits per at bat. So you take the total amount of hits divided by the total amount of at bats, you get an average. That's what we're doing here. So I'm going to write those in, but I'm going to do it without you guys needing to see all the the blah blah. So wait a second. Okay, so we have all the data punched into our data table. Now it's time to put this on a graph. Alright, so we have a few rules that we want to follow. Try to keep it simple. Number one, we want to use the entire paper. Alright, so we're going to start at 0 on one side, and we're going to use the entire paper and go from one corner to the other corner, use the entire amount of graph paper that we're given, which means we're going to have to determine increments to maximize the space. That's not that difficult to do if you just use your imagination a little bit. The independent variable is always on the x-axis, and the dependent variable is always on the y-axis. When you title it, you're going to always have a title on your graph, and the graph's title is always going to be independent variable versus dependent variable. So in this case, it's going to be height versus batting average. And finally, we got to label our axes, and we put the units in parentheses. So let's get going. Okay, so I've kind of set things up here. We have a title. Boom. Okay, we have our x-axis on containing our independent variable, and our y-axis containing the dependent variable, but I couldn't turn the text sideways, so you would want it sitting like this, not horizontal, the way it is. What else do we need to do? Now here's what we need to do. We need to space out the increments, and so if we think about the height, the maximum height was about 76 inches, And so I'm going to count my increments of 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45. So I can really just say every one space is equal to 2 inches. And so I can start at 0, and we always put the origin on our paper. And we go, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 over here, and 80. And then we can do the same thing on the right side, or on the y-axis. The increments here, we've got 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. So we can actually say one space equal to 10 points. So this is going to be 100. And over here we'll have 200, just below that. And then 5, 10, here's 300. Alright, so let's plot these points. First person was Jared Jeter. He was at 75, I think. 75. So I got my little laser pointer out. Check that out. And we're going to go to 70. We'll go to 5, which we have to approximate there. And then we're going up that middle. And he was a 323. So if I remember correctly, this line right here is 300. Or no, it's this line. These lines don't work out very well. And we're going to go up 320, two lines there. We'll go up a little bit more, and we'll put a mark right there. What was that? Oh, no. No, a little high. Okay. So, big point there. Joe Mauer was 307. So let's, or no, he was 317. And he was 76. So let's go to right here. Let's bring that up. And 317 would be right about there. So put a point right there. The smaller points are the better. Okay, I'm not very good with this pen yet. All right, let's do the other, well, I'll do the other two here. All right, it was another 3, and I cleaned up all 5 of them, and so that's what our graph looks like. And we can, what a graph is, it's just a picture of the data, okay? We're just putting a picture together, and then we start looking for patterns once we see that picture. So I'm going to finish up right here. This is your graphing podcast. Make sure you read through this, or at least go through it a couple times, especially before the test. Make sure you do that. All right, I'm out.